Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Have you ever struggled trying to get the perfect sandwich for die cutting and embossing? Well, Spellbinders just released their universal plate system. There are 7 different plates included, so now you'll be able to create that perfect sandwich for die cutting and embossing. This works with Spellbinders Platinum and Platinum 6 die cutting machines, and it also works with the Sizzix Standard Big Shot die cut machine. If you're wondering about compatibility with your own die cut machine, Spellbinders does have a page on their website you can check out and see if your machine will work. And I will add the website link in the description box below. So let me show you all 7 different layers. First up we have F. This is a shim. Sometimes you need just that little extra thickness to get a good impression when you're die cutting or embossing. E is an embossing mat. So this is a very flexible, sort of rubbery mat. Next is D. This is the adapter plate. And it does mention on here this is not a cutting surface. So make sure you're not cutting into this plate. There are 2 of C. These are the actual cutting plates. So they're so pretty looking right now, perfectly clear with no marks on them at all. But as soon as I run it through my die cut machine, that will change. Next we have B. This is the platform top, and it has some of the instructions on how to layer your sandwich right on this. So you don't have to worry about looking for the instruction book. They printed it right on top of 2 of the plates. The platform top is very thin, but it's a nice sturdy piece of plastic. So the final layer is the main layer. This is A. It's your platform base. You can see it's very sturdy. It also has several different sandwich recipes printed right on the top. Spellbinders also released several new 3D embossing folders, and I selected 3 of them to play with. I will have links in the description box if you are interested in any of the products I used in this video. The first embossing folder is called Circle Illusion, and as you can see, these are very large embossing folders. They are around 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And since these are 3D, they will add a little more dimension than the traditional 2D embossing folders. The next one is called Tufted. I love the look of this. It makes the appearance of a quilted blanket. The last embossing folder is called Leafy, and I think this will work perfectly with different flower die sets. Now there are several others available. I only selected the 3 to play with. So let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. I'm using the Leafy embossing folder first. I have some mint green cardstock, and I'm going to create my sandwich. So I have platform A on the bottom. I have my cardstock inside the embossing folder next, and then I have the adapter plate D on the top. And this is the sandwich you'll need when you're using the 3D embossing folders. I have the embossed side of the cardstock facing up, and I decided to add a little extra color to my background. I'm using Catherine Pooler's Mardi Gras ink color. I have a blender brush and my Stencil Mat, and I'm just adding a little bit of color to those raised leaves and stems. Then I'll adhere this panel onto my card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5.5 inches. Now with all of that embossed texture, I want to make sure to add enough adhesive so this doesn't come off of my card base. So I added ATG tape on the back and also a thin layer of liquid adhesive. For an image on my card, I'm using Spellbinders Lemon Zest die set. This is one of my favorites. I love lemons. So it has the piece with the 5 different leaves, and it also has a second piece so you can add a little more detail to the leaves. And I decided to cut those out from some green glitter cardstock. I used some bright yellow cardstock for my lemons. I'll just adhere all of those pieces together. The set also includes 2 different flower dies. I decided to pop up the leaves and the lemons using some thin foam dimension. The lemons have these fun little holes on the side. You could put some cardstock on the back, but I decided just to leave them without it. On the leaf cluster, the one branch that hangs down, you can tuck it into the end of one of the lemons. I put a very small piece of double-sided tape on the back side to hold the lemon to the stems. I'll remove the release paper, and this is where I realized I added my lemon on the wrong end of the branch. It should be on the other end. So I'm very carefully trying to remove that double-sided tape. Didn't want to rip the cardstock. Then I'll flip around the branch and add the lemon to the correct side of that branch. Add another piece of double-sided tape to hold the lemon to the stem and adhere that to the center of my card. For the second lemon, there is a separate die for a single stem, and that's what I used. I did trim down the stem so I could tuck it underneath that lower left leaf. Now I'll add the sentiment Hello, and this is from Spellbinders Smooth Lines Mix and Match Sentiment Set. There are two different pieces for the sentiment. The H is separate, and I like how the sentiment angles upward slightly. Now I'll add a few of the flowers, and I decided to use just one of the floral designs that's included in the die set. I cut the white flowers out from some white shimmer cardstock and have a very light pink cardstock for the centers. I used an embellishment wand to pick those pieces up since they're super tiny. And now I'll add them to the leaves and also the lemon. I'm adding just a small drop of liquid adhesive to adhere them to my card. I love the vibrant color of the lemons against that soft green background. So there is my finished card, and I did end up making two using this design. For the first card that I made off screen, I also added a white paint splatter to the background, but it wasn't very visible, so I decided not to add it to the second card. For card design number 2, I'm using the Circle Illusions embossing folder, and I decided to use both the embossed and also the debossed sides. The pattern paper is from a Paper Rose collection called Ultraviolet. I love the bright colors. For the image and sentiment on my card, I'm using Spellbinders Embroidery Flowers stamp set. I selected the largest image, and I'm inking this up using some Ombre ink from Hero Arts. This is their pink to red color, and I did ink it up a couple of times so I had a nice solid impression. Now I'll grab a second mini Misty. I already have this sentiment in place. This is just a note. And I'll ink this up using Honeybee Stamp's Intense Black ink. Now I am stamping on a shimmer cardstock, so I'm trying to make sure not to touch that ink until it dries completely. I'll put some liquid adhesive on the back of the oval die cut and adhere it to the center of my card. And I will put an acrylic block on top just for that added weight while the glue adheres. Then to finish off my card, I'll add a few gem stickers from Spellbinders. This is the Prism AB color. I'll put 3 of them around the sentiment and 2 in the upper left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I have the embossed side and also the debossed side. I can't decide which one I prefer. I like the look of both of them. So now moving on to card design number 3. I used the Tufted embossing folder. The pattern paper is from Minte Papers. This is their Backgrounds Rainbow, and I don't believe this collection is available any longer. I also added some gold paint splatter to the background. It's hard to see on the video, but it does have that beautiful gold shine. I'll put some liquid adhesive on the back of this paper and adhere it to my card front. Out of the 3 embossing folders that I'm using, I feel like this one has more areas where that backside isn't touching the card base. So I think using liquid adhesive is the better way to go to make sure that everything stays in place. For a little extra detail, I added a thin rectangle frame die cut. Just adhere that in place using some liquid adhesive. And for the image and sentiment on the card, I'm using Spellbinders Artful Tulip die set. And the sentiment set is also from Spellbinders. This is Paint Your World Sentiments. I've already assembled my paintbrush. This is such a fun set. It has the pieces for the brush, and then it also has leaves and tiny tulips. So you can create this fun paintbrush that has lovely little tulips. I've stamped out the sentiment on the same pattern paper. This is Paint Your Dreams. And I'll adhere that in place using some liquid adhesive. Then for a final finishing touch, I'll use some more Spellbinders gem stickers. This is the gold mix color. I'll put 3 around the sentiment and 2 to the left of the tulip. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this design. I love the fun paintbrush dies with the tiny tulips. And there are other sets. I know there's butterflies and also more of a daisy style flower. Now here's another look at the 6 cards I made using Spellbinders brand new 3D embossing folders. Embossing folders are an easy way to add a lot of dimension to your cards. And Spellbinders just released several new designs along with their universal plate system. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.